Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
Here we go. Welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It is March 11th, I think, 2025, and this is episode 108.
That's right. Did you get in the promo where that you'll never get any older, you'll never be sick, and you're never gonna die? That's from Cocoon, Wilford Brimley.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Didn't he die of diabetes? How did he used to say that?
Sugars.
Got the sugars, yeah. Oh my gosh, Cocoon. What a terrible movie that was. Yeah,
I told you I'd surprise you last week.
You did.
By the way, I had to make that up because I went, I had a good one. I didn't write it down. I should have told you because I couldn't remember what it was. I still don't remember what it was.
I have to write down everything. If I go to the grocery store without a list, I never get everything I'm supposed to get.
Oh, I'm horrible. I'm horrible.
I feel like Joe Biden looking at the press corps. It's kind of like, I lose it. Anyway. Well, hey, we kick it off with our new segment, as usual.
It's time for Stupid Holidays of the Week.
Well, today is actually, sorry, the wrong voice. Today is National Promposal Day.
I heard that.
Yeah, it's a day for high school students to ask someone to the prom. I wish there was a time limit for all that for me when I was in high school because I always put it off right till the last minute. It's like, but of course, when you dig into any of these holidays, there's normally an idea of some company. This is normally some kind of brainchild from a company that will benefit somehow. And this is Men's Warehouse came up with this one in 2016.
Well, I guess they're still available. That's where you get a tux. I mean, I'm not buying one.
I know exactly. How much was a tux when you were in high school? Do you remember?
I remember? No, I wore the fanciest. I had the frilly fronts with the powder blue tux and bow tie. I had all the cummerbund, everything.
I think when I was a senior, there was a bunch of us that had they bought the white tux, and then we always had the like a colored pair of Chuck Taylors. But my girlfriend at the time, she would not let me wear that into the restaurant when we went to eat. And so I had to actually have the shoes that they gave me to wear into the restaurant. By the time I got to prom, I changed my shoes out. And then it's like a bunch of us guys had the Chuck Taylors on. So anyway, I don't know why.
I don't know that it was $15 or something to go rent I mean, we're talking the mid 70s, so early 70s.
I think in 82, I think it cost me almost $100. I think it was quite a bit.
And it may have been more. It may have been 20 something.
Yeah. Well, anyway, earlier this week in the wee hours of Sunday morning, we started in on daylight savings time, which love it or hate it.
I'm sorry. I was nodding off.
So in turn, the following Monday, yesterday, was National Napping Day. I don't know if you saw a friend of ours, Uncle Roy. He had a picture of him napping all over the place yesterday. So.
His better half. It was from her napping collection. That's what he said. There must have been 15 of them.
Exactly.
On a park bench in the park on a picnic down by the beach.
Gosh.
He's good at napping. I napped a lot yesterday, but then I was trying to come down from having 4 shots of Novocaine or lidocaine or whatever the hell it is that they use nowadays. Dentist visit makes me nap. Sleep through the pain, and then you don't have to worry about it when you wake up. It's done.
I'm normally super hungry afterwards, and I know I can't eat because I've got the face of a drooping, the dropsy.
I couldn't even suck on a straw. I was like, did I dribble? It was
Let's
terrible.
go get some spaghetti so I can ruin this shirt. But anyway, so that was napping day. Thursday is National Canine Veterans Day, a day to honor the service of the American military and working dogs. Day also marks the official start of the United States Canine Corps in 1942. And of course, Friday being 3/14 is National Pi Day. That's P-I. And if you failed math in high school, it's the same as 22 seconds. Look it up. 22 sevenths, sorry, is what I meant to say. So that should clear it right up for you if you didn't take Algebra 2.
I thought everybody knew that.
See, that's what I'm saying. And Saturday is the 15th, and it's the Ides, or actually Friday is not the 14th. Friday is the 13th, right? No, Friday's the 14th. I don't know why I was thinking Friday was the 13th. Friday's the 14th. Saturday is the 15th. The Ides of March is just Ides actually just means the middle, so it's the middle of the month. And of course, since 44 BC, it's the day we all celebrate the assassination of Julius Caesar. So et tu, Brute, and enjoy your day.
Such a fun way to go. Oh, and we're planning to get pizza on the 13th because we're seeing the surgeon for the wife's knee. She's just doing really super well.
That's awesome.
So we're going to be missing Pie Day the day before. Usually the pizza places will have hey, we got a pie special today because it is 3.12. Yeah,
we'll have to look at that. I actually go get my last infusion for my immunotherapy, I think, on Friday. So that will be, maybe we can get pizza on the way home because that does sound pretty good. I'm not a big pizza person, but every once in a while, if it's made well, it's got good sauce.
I like pizza. And the wife, it's the deal. Is like, well, let's go get some pizza. Well, okay, you owe me another Chinese.
I like turtles.
He likes the Chinese food way better, and I'm going, I don't hate it, but it's like, as long as it's got some spice to it, like Mongolian chicken or something that has the spice to it, I'll eat that, or Kung Pao chicken, whatever.
When we go to a Chinese place like that, a buffet, normally they have the fake crab meat with the cheese and all that stuff in it. It's like, hey, I forgot what kind of fish it actually is. It's not crab meat. It's genuine imitation crab meat.
Genuine imitation, artificial taste, almost like the real thing.
But for some reason, I love that stuff. It's just I will just fill my plate with that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We got criticized last week for getting too far off track, and we're there again.
You mean like what we're doing now again?
Here we are.
Squirrels, shiny thing. Ooh, look, a bicycle. What was that?
We're good at it, so we got to play to our strengths. Real quick, we were talking about this in the promo that something that we need to pay attention to, and this is something I think this is just the beginning of stuff that we're going to see a lot of. And Richard, I want you to talk about this. You know a little bit more about this than I do, but the X got, or the former Twitter and the new X got cyber hacked yesterday. The IP addresses point to Ukraine and that area, but with spoofed IP addresses, that doesn't mean anything. But what exactly happened?
What it means is they have a bunch of bots, and what bots are is a bunch of things that look like they're legitimate that can go to a website, and it's called a DDoS, which is essentially it's a denial of. I can't remember what all the two Ds are. I always forget. I just know it's a denial of service, meaning they're in there pounding away they send all these bots and they fill up so that the servers can't get a hold of anybody else. It's happened a couple times with credit card companies, banking stuff. They will go in and just flood it because they're PO'd at them, but their IP addresses will eventually show up. You will know where it's coming from. But what it does is it stops anybody else from being able to get at that site. Yeah. It won't give you a 404, but it will say this is temporarily busy or something. So,
I just think that this is probably, if this was something from China, Russia, or wherever, I think this is just something, this might just be a test, a lab rat type thing where it's like they're going to try to figure out what works and what doesn't. I would not be surprised if they are just the first of many. And of course, Twitter being the bastion of free speech right now, I think that's just getting under the skin of a lot of countries. So,
well, the DDoS and using bots and that has been around for many years. So it's one of those things where if they find a hole to get into it, a port that's open, if you will, they will get at it. So.
pretty interesting. So just keep your eye open for that. Make sure you got your antivirus, and who knows? One day we may wake up and the internet may be down for a couple of days, or might be out of power. I mean, you just don't know. I can see this being the future, and I forgot what world leader said that is that the World War III won't be fought with tanks and guns; it'll be fought with ones and zeros. So I think that could be very, very wise for us to keep mind of one way or the other. Well, it seems that those on the left are getting more and more desperate. Not that lying is anything new to them. They do like to blatantly lie. It seems like, but the obvious lies are what's making people's eye roll anymore. They're starting to get in tune with the way the left does their thing now. For example, they had Corinne Jean-Pierre, who is very good at lying. Not that you believed her, but she was just good at keeping a straight face while she did it. But she was on The View a few days ago, and this is how that went.
He's amongst her own
he's
kind.
on his way in the first 100 days to be the most unpopular president in their first 100 days. That is not a mandate. In 70 years.
The word man is in there.
Well, that's questionable. What we're seeing in this administration is he's taking a wrecking ball to the government. And what that means is so that people really understand, as folks are sitting here and watching, there are folks who have been fired from the federal government, and now, is our water safe, right? Mm-hmm. Is our food safe?
Are the skies?
Right. And the skies, right? We have to worry about getting on a plane.
Chicken
Is
Little.
that going to be safe?
There's going to be a pandemic.
Is there going to be a pandemic? And not only that, folks who need their Social Security check, are you going to get it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that is real. And they're doing it without concern of the fallout.
Fear-mongering at its best.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just, can you shovel any more lies and BS at the same time? How many shovels you got going?
It is rapid fire, man. But she was speaking to a crowd there at the table that just love whatever she spews out anyway.
Oh, and then they have the clapping seals that show up in the audience. So,
Trump has only reduced the number of government employees by 1%. Of course, we're just beginning now, but I mean, it doesn't sound necessarily catastrophic. But it was flying safe. It's like nobody said anything when Biden was in office and the doors were flying off of Boeing jets, and it's like
little things like that.
That wasn't Biden's fault. Now all of a sudden, because there was one thing that happened, and it had nothing to do with air traffic control, had nothing to do with federal employees. They're trying to blame Trump. But it's
all the stuff that was put into place has not all been removed. So what's in there, and some of it is DEI hires, some of it's not.
Right.
But they don't want to take responsibility. This is long-term stuff that's going on and taking place right now. Give me a break. Yeah, and the constant lies of, you're not going to get a Social Security check. Yep. You're not going to. No, that is, if they, quote unquote, when you hear them, we're going to shut down the government. When that happens, you still get your Social Security check. They're on auto. You're in the system. It goes through. Don't worry about it.
Especially when they're debating over the continuing resolution that's going on right now in Congress. That's one of the first things that the Democrats come out to say. It's like, well, you're not going to get paid. The military's not going to get paid. And no, all those things are set in stone. Everybody's going to get paid.
Yep. And boy, they've kind of stopped a little bit with the Social Security being an entitlement program, because it's damn right it's an entitlement. I'm entitled to it. I've paid into that sucker 50 years of work, and I want my money. And not somebody that's 300 and some years old that's older than our country is on the rolls. It's like, what? It's several million people over 120 years old. Don't tell me that money's going somewhere, because that ain't right.
Even Trump said that the other day. There's a couple ladies that were over 200 years old that are still getting their Social Security check. But it's like, those are the kind of things you need. We'll actually have a clip of Trump talking about that. He gets asked about that again. And so
they just keep lying about it, even though they know it's not true. That's not the facts. It doesn't matter. We've got to do something to stop this guy. But that's what he was voted to do. Mm-hmm. And they're not so used to that they're used to making promises and never doing anything about them. But they're used to this is someone who said, this is what I'm going to do. It's what he did the last time. I'm going to build that wall. I'm going to get this done. Okay, you're doing it all. And then things went. But what he said he would do, he's been doing it rapidly and quickly, getting more and more stuff done.
Now he's had to go back and hire some people back because the broad sweep kind of took some good people out. But I mean, I think through NOAA is one of the organizations that some people got fired that they're bringing them back, and they're giving them back pay for the time they were gone, the whole thing. So I mean,
they're doing it right. So quit telling us that it's not right.
And there's always going to be fallout. There's always going to be mistakes made. I mean, but I think if you're a straight thinking individual, an American, nobody wants corruption. I mean, how could you be for the stealing of taxpayer money? I just don't understand how that should be okay. Why is he looking into this?
Well, USAID was almost all being stolen stuff and was being run by the people at USAID and not the government.
Oh, and I heard this morning that Marco Rubio has decided that I think they're shutting down 80-something% of USAID, and then whatever is left that is actually good programs. Everybody's saying, well, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's going to take that back, and the State Department's going to run the good things that USAID had. So USAID is pretty much dead in the water. So it's a good thing.
They thought they could fix it. And by the time they got in there and kept checking on stuff, it's like, oh, my Lord, this is the worst.
$40 billion a year. It's incredible. Incredible.
Anyways.
So we're up against the break. When we come back, Anna Paulina Luna, another superstar in Congress, was interviewing 4 mayors of the U.S. And it went very well, I think, but not for everybody. So we'll have those clips. And so hang in there. We'll be right back.
When Uncle Joe was asked what he thought of Mike and Richard, he said,
"These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass."
"We'll take that as a compliment. Stay off my lawn. We'll be right back."
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. All-You-Can-Eat Buffet Inventor.
Mr. All-You-Can-Eat Buffet Inventor.
You've given us the real American dream. A tray, 15 feet of food, and a little sign that says, "Go nuts, buddy."
Oh, pinch me, I'm dreaming.
Pushing side dish innovation to its limits, you offer creamed everything and 400 flavors of gelatin.
Feeding frenzy.
If there's beef, you'll chip it. If there's chicken, you'll fry it. And if there's gravy, well, then everything's going to be okay.
Oh, thank God for the gravy.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, buffet boy. You know the way to a man's heart and a few hundred tasty ways to challenge it.
Mr. All-You-Can-Eat Buffet Inventor.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2. And as promised, Anna Paulina Luna, which we love her name.
Anna Paulina Luna.
Yeah. Sing it, Richard. Sing it, boy.
Yeah, no, I don't sing it well. That's why it was rather muted.
She is one of those congressmen, women that just a rising star. That is fantastic. She's outspoken. She's smart, and and I love her. So, but she was speaking at the House Oversight Committee, addressing 4 mayors of the major U.S. city mayors, and their defiance to the immigration policies and lack of cooperation with ICE. And this is how that went.
So you don't believe that banning the transfer of individuals into ICE custody for the purpose of civil immigration enforcement encourages illegal immigration into Chicago? Or how about agencies, or agents not being able to stop, arrest, or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status or administrative warrant?
So we comply with all laws, local, state, and federal.
No, you don't.
To me, after this line of questioning, it's very clear that these policies that you have all implicated are active and alive and well in your cities, are in direct violation with U.S. Title 8, Code subsection 1324, and is a federal offense. But you all speak about a broken immigration system, and yet here you guys are aiding and abetting in that entire process. I want to be very clear about something. Open border policies, which is something that you guys are talking about, hurts people on both sides, meaning the people that are coming here illegally and then American citizens as well. I do not think you guys are bad people, but I think that you are ideologically misled. which is why, unfortunately, based on your responses, I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation. And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi. I'm not doing that in an effort to bully you guys, but I do believe that your policies are hurting the American people, and you can make that known with the evidence that you can present to the Department of Justice. But if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to help anyone. You're going to hurt more people, and that's exactly why I'm tired of it. The American people are tired of it. And Chairman, I yield my time.
Isn't that awesome? I'm going to walk these right over to Pam Bondi as soon as we're done here.
And I saw some more of this. Did you have any more clips on?
I've got a response from another congressperson. So,
oh no, okay, yeah. The gentleman from Denver was trying to. No, shut him down.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
It's like he was trying to. No, there's no justification. I don't care what you say. No, there's been a problem, man. They've got 2 people. I think it's at this point in time being arrested for leaking information, and they're still looking at some news people in Denver for when they were going to do an arrest that way. And we had another incident yesterday in California with 2 illegal aliens killing an individual. They were trying to steal somebody's a catalytic converter from out under their truck, and this was the neighbor going, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And they just shot him right in the chest.
Oh boy.
And they did catch him, but and shocker, they've got a rap sheet as long as your arm for no longer than they've been in the United States. 15 arrests, and they're back out on the street again.
That's the problem with the sanctuary cities, because they blow all that under the rug and it doesn't seem to matter. These 4 mayors, by the way, are Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu, New York Mayor Eric Adams, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnston, and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston. All 4 cities are considered sanctuary cities. So, and of course, they were defiant even in that meeting. And just by saying that, we follow everything. You heard the one guy
No,
say
you don't. And I like how she said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You are against, and they had, and not just say, no, you're not following it, but no, you're not following it. Here's the statute. Here's where it's located. And that's a federal law, and you're violating it, period.
And she
no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And she explained federal law does kind of overrule.
Supersede, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, your state and local laws. Sorry, the federal, just like pot. Pot is still illegal federally. So, I mean, the states that do it, the federal government has that opportunity to look the other way. They do their thing, and that's fine. But, I mean, if you're caught on in like a federal campground or something, or a national campground, you can't have pot. I don't care if the state says it's legal or not.
You're on federal ground when you're on a federal, like Yellowstone and
Yosemite,
all of
any of those places.
Yosemite, all of those is like, no, that's federal ground.
Absolutely.
Not can have.
Well,
and you had another one you said?
Yeah, one Democrat went a bit off the rails at this hearing. Representative Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico got her knickers in a big knot. And this is the new Democratic Party in Congress. You got to, and it's beeped out, but you'll get what she's saying.
Total absolute. They are not making America safer again, and what they are doing is terrorizing immigrant families. Our mayors are sitting here enduring this ridiculous hearing as they've been threatened in front of the American people.
I think if you cuss and you say it twice, it really drives the point home. That's all I can figure.
Well, apparently they've been given a memo because all kinds of speeches standing out in front of a crowd of people behind the guy, and then again somebody turned their phone around that was over that direction. There was more camera people than there were people, but they were playing to the cameras, and every single one of these Democrats are all cursing and saying bad words, and that what's her last name?
Crockett from Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? She is not from the ghetto, if you will. No. Yeah. No, she went to a private high school that cost $35,000 a year to go. And then she was educated at a university that was $55,000 a year.
She's
very well. I saw her speaking to somebody, and she was sitting there proper because she had all the the lessons, I'm sure, and all that kind of stuff, and being elegant and elocution. She spoke very well. She did excellent. And then she gets in Congress, and this is what you need to. This is the image. It's all just an act.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you hear
she's not
AOC
stupid, but she's acting stupid.
You hear AOC do the same kind of thing. When she wants to talk normally, she can talk normally, but then all of a sudden she gets riled up and she brings out this Brooklyn or Bronx whatever attitude that she's got, and it's like, and the accent comes out, and it's like being around people that are fake like that. It just annoys me. But I mean,
AOC is not bright.
No,
this other gal is highly educated.
Yeah.
AOC is, well, yeah.
What
you see is what you get with her.
The accent itself. But, it's like this woman got so upset. If they would only get that fired up about their own citizens being terrorized or killed by these gang members that are coming over the border, that would be a whole lot better. But they're fired up because, they're sending these guys with the neck tattoos back to Mexico or Honduras. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Or Venezuela and gangs and all these kind of fun little people.
Yeah, I think the population of Venezuelan prisons is 0. If the last stat that I saw.
They emptied them, so it's time to put some more back in there because there's table for 2.
Yes, they have an overabundance of food, which is very unique for a socialist society.
2 hots and a cot. Yay. 3 hots and a cot. Well, maybe down in Venezuela it might only be 1 hot and a cot.
Probably one. It's a bologna sandwich and they warm it up. A California assemblyman from the 75th district, which is San Diego, his name is Carl DeMayo. If it's DeMayo, that's actually my daughter-in-law's maiden name. Interesting.
Wait, isn't that in May and it's Oh, no, it's wrong. Never mind. Anyhow.
Cinco de Mayo was removed from the state's, he was actually removed from the state's budget committee. He did explain this in an interview, and this is how he talked about it.
I've only been on the budget committee, or I only was on the budget committee for 2 hearings. And in both those hearings, with every single panel, we showed up with investigative research ahead of time. We had the receipts walking in. And you've played some of the clips because we've been putting them out there, showing that the governor's surplus is actually a massive multi-billion-dollar budget deficit, so that they're lying to us. Then uncovering the fact that we have $10 billion in funds going out to illegal immigrants just for free health care. 1 out of 4 Medi-Cal dollars in the state general fund is given to an illegal immigrant under Gavin Newsom's administration in his budget, and they were hiding that. Then we found out last week, and this is what really angered them, money laundering. We found a program called the COVID-19 Workplace Safety Program. And I said, wait. We still have a COVID-19 program, $25 million. It's projected to continue till 2029. That's so 2020. So this is obviously wasteful spending. But then when we dug deeper and found out where they were putting the $25 million, 73 left-wing political groups that have nothing to do with healthcare, nothing to do with workplace safety, 73 left-wing groups were getting millions of dollars to do voter outreach, ballot harvesting, lobbying, all these things. And so I showed up with all of the documents and grilled them and had them admit, yeah, this is what we're doing with the money. So Friday at 5 o'clock, quietly, the speaker removed me from the budget committee.
God help you if you're conservative in California on the assembly. Good.
Well, it was nice of them to do it quietly because oftentimes they don't, but they knew that if they didn't do it quietly, there would be more, the news media, let's not say the mainstream media, not the propaganda machine per se. But
the LA Times would be all over it.
Yeah, sure. Well, they don't have as many reporters because the budget's been severely cut because U.S. aid is not going to them anymore. Or Politico. I haven't seen anything posted from Politico in a long time.
I hadn't either. I didn't think about that. That's
they don't have money. They couldn't meet payroll.
Oh, boy.
Because all of a sudden their funds was shut off. This is just, it's nice to hear a conservative that in California, especially, that's going, And so people are finding out, and the Dems are going, oh no, this is how you make big bucks, is to get into Congress or in California's the assembly or whatever it is. And you get all of this stuff under the, swept under the rug there. And it all goes in somebody else's pocket because all of the stuff that was USAID was this billion was going to this one who's husband was a judge in New York, and she was head of this and doing all that, and then it came back around full circle and was being paid for kickbacks and whatever to other. That's just got to all be prosecuted. That's enough of that.
No, I agree.
But it was all going back to Democrats, or was given to Democrat things.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Republicans are involved in it too, because they can be just as greedy, stupid SOBs.
The rhinos are right there in line.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think that the more they uncover, the more we're going to see this kind of thing. And I have a feeling, since he exposed all this, he might get put back. He may not get put back in the budget committee, but he might just end up being more popular than ever, at least in the San Diego County area, which is surprising to me that they have any Republican in office in San Diego. They're just as bad as LA and San Francisco. So
yeah, I'm surprised, but yeah.
Did you ever see in California? Did you ever see the map of the red counties or the red areas?
Yes, in this last election, the red just is creeping in it's coming in from the east, headed west, and all there is this little tiny
blue.
Same thing for Oregon, same thing for Washington.
Yep, I saw that too. So I mean,
it's only like 3 or 4 big cities, and the rest of it's all red. Both Oregon and Washington. The whole eastern Washington wants nothing to do with all the garbage going on in Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, all that stuff that's on the coast. Yeah.
Well, I think even places like Chicago are starting to understand it from a lot of the city council meetings. The audio we've seen from that, it's like. Anyway, speaking of wasting money, a lot of states and local jurisdictions have been being looked at by DOJ, and this time it's more COVID relief funds that apparently, the schools or wherever you can spend it any way you want. There's a lady named Ariana Masters. She tells a little bit more about these school systems' wasteful spending. And here's how that goes.
According to yet another damning report by the Department of Government Efficiency, revealing taxpayer dollars meant for student recovery were instead squandered on luxury accommodations and entertainment. Granite Public Schools in Utah burned through nearly $86,000 at Caesar's Palace, while Santa Ana Unified School District spent nearly $400,000 to rent a Major League Baseball stadium. One California district even bought an ice cream truck, while another funneled $60,000 into swimming pool passes. All this money spent with zero documentation. In response, the administration has tightened oversight on the remaining $4 billion in unspent relief funds, now requiring schools to provide receipts for every single purchase before receiving additional aid. The findings raise serious concerns about mismanagement, waste, and government accountability in school spending.
Oh boy, our
she is really good, by the way. She has a lot of really good stuff with facts and receipts to go with what she's saying. So.
Our local school district runs on pretty much a shoestring budget. I don't understand how do they make so much money in these bigger cities? I guess it's just, I don't know. The corruption is better. They're better at it. I don't know.
You just keep putting levies through and people, okay, well, I guess we better vote yes for that because we want our school to stay open, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. I mean, but anyway, we've got more to talk about with DOJ. There's a guy named Xavier Durousseau, and he explained a little bit more about how this eliminating wasteful spending is going to look in the future as we go along. So hang in there. We will be right back.
I have people, lots of people, practically everyone asks me to say hi to Mike and Richard for them. They're great guys. The greatest, you might say.
Supplement adds to your fun. Dapple's fun for everyone. Double freshness, smoothness too. You will love it, millions do. Makes your mouth feel fresh and clean. After meals and in between. Double mint adds to your fun. Double mint chewing gum.
You will love the double fresh taste and double smooth chewing goodness of Double Mint gum. That's why we say that chewing Double Mint doubles the pleasure of everything you do. So remember,
Double Mint adds to your fun.
It's fun.
Double pleasure all in one. So delicious, great to chew. Treat yourself and your friends too. Tastes so good and lasts so long. Get some soon, you can't go wrong. Double mint adds to your fun. Double mint chewing gum.
That was way too good. Welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 3. Oh, we're more than halfway already.
It's Tuesday.
So like the Doge department, when you look at eliminating wasteful spending, you can look straight to the top. A guy named Xavier Durousseau explained how that would actually look.
If you look at every single measurable metric of the Department of Education, they are a failed experiment. We used to be leading the world when it came to education, and now we are at the bottom of the list. And when you look at the alarmingly low literacy rates and math and science scores, it's humiliating to us as a country. And I think the common sense solution of that is to have the resources going back to the backyards of these students, going to the states, going to local supervision, so that we can figure out how we can be more hands-on with getting these kids the proper education that they need. Because right now, the Department of Education is just a glorified money laundering scheme, because they're taking all this money from the states, essentially cutting it in half, and then giving the scraps back over to the states and telling them to use it to push woke causes and vaccine information.
You know, Xavier, let's stick on that point, because public universities have been accused of choosing indoctrination over education. Last year, the advocacy organization Speech First found that 2/3 of major U.S. universities mandate college students must take DEI courses just to graduate. I mean, 6 out of 10 of them were public taxpayer-funded universities. So taxpayers are paying for like really crazy stuff happening inside U.S. universities. What's your take on DEI in public schools?
You know, I think it's horrifying. I think it should be the bottom of the barrel when it comes to our priorities. Why do we have our most elite minds and pupils that should be learning about actual, science and history and things that are going to continue to push our nation forward? Instead, they're learning about DEI and all these different woke mindsets. And it just shows, again, how much of a scam the Department of Education is. Their number one financial priority is putting billions of dollars towards federal aid for these students so that they can go and be indoctrinated. And yet there's no accountability put on these universities who waste so much of that money on general ed courses that are just a scam to get the universities more enriched. And then in these DEI classes that, again, are teaching gender studies and all these racial classes that have nothing to do with anything relevant, it is all a scam. And this is why you have so many students in crippling debt or with degrees that they can't do anything with. It's because the Department of Education is failing them from the ages of 5 all the way through their upper education. It is out of control.
I like the way he put it, just like you do. He calls the colleges indoctrination centers.
Yep, that's what they've been doing. I know that the Boise State University, everybody knows, playing on the blue, blah, blah, blah. This last year at Thanksgiving time, when they went home and shut down for Thanksgiving for the 4 or 5 days, whatever it is. Yeah. DEI, they came back. Those offices were empty, done, gone.
Really?
Yep. They shut it down while they were gone.
Wow.
Because the state said, yeah, we're not paying for those anymore.
So is your governor actually doing, I know there was some controversy over the water rights and all that kind of stuff with him. Is he good otherwise? I mean, was it?
Had been, and it's been of recent. It looks like he's not going to run again. So he's getting what he can for retirement, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But he's on the wrong side of too many things lately.
Yeah. I know Idaho, I think, is number 1 in the country as far as economic growth and everything. I think they're the best.
Well, and our budget's always been balanced. I think that's in our Constitution that they have to. Yeah. So there's not some things that are there. There are some, for lack of a better term, neocons in the state legislature that start proposing. It's like, whoa, back the bus up here. And sure enough, they come from a particular religious sect that is not in Israel either.
Yeah. Even though they like to correlate themselves with standard practitioners of religion. Yes, that's just not true.
Yeah. And not, you would think, very conservative. No.
Utah normally is though, which is kind of the home of this group you're talking about. So I mean, normally. Then again, they have what's his name as a senator. The guy with the gray hair on the sides. I can't think of his name. The guy who ran for president against Obama and lost terribly.
So. We have been horrible all day, off air, on air. Doesn't matter. We couldn't remember our name, right, Bob? I mean, really, we've been that way all.
If our names weren't on the screen, I would have no idea who I was.
I have to look every time we talk to you. God, it's just been a day, and it's not just one of us. Neither one of us can remember a name.
I know, it's terrible. Terrible. A little bit of brain fog.
Ha-ha!
Romney, that's it.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding. Do I get the prize now?
Eric Romney. All right. Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, we've been hearing from people on both sides of the aisle, honestly, being confused about tariffs. Tariffs can be confusing, and, in recent decades, you haven't really heard much about tariffs, basically because we've been giving away the store for a long time now. And at first glance, Trump's attitude towards tariffs might be a little concerning. Seems like it might be terrible for our economy, driving prices up when the prices are already through the roof about everything anyway. But this is a good explanation. This is a couple of minutes, but a very good explanation of what is going on with the tariffs.
Today's political cliff notes, the tariff war, and what is actually going on, because there's a lot of fear-mongering going on. So I'm going to kind of sum up what has transpired. So as of March 4th, the U.S. said there is a 25% tariff tax on Canada goods, Mexico's goods, and 10% on China, meaning that anything coming from those locations into our country will cost that percent more expensive. So at first you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why would we want to pay more for goods? Well, there's a couple reasons why we would do that. Number one, it's called the long game. So what you want to do is you're going to change American buying habits to shop more American, to bring back manufacturing jobs here in America, which would over time increase the American economy, put the American worker back in business, and increase American businesses, which is a really great idea. A good example, with this tariff, a company from Taiwan that creates computer chips is going to offer $100 billion and move their chip factory here to Arizona. It's going to produce 20,000 jobs for Americans. On top of that, $100 billion promised into the economy. That's amazing. Another one, Honda. Once this tariff was announced, Honda is going to move one of their plants from Mexico into Indiana, which is going to be about $20 billion into our economy and, of course, more American jobs. So that's the long game. Number two, you also can use it as leverage, right? Negotiations, trying to get the drug deal, like the drugs crossing the fentanyl. It's really all started because of the fentanyl crisis. Tons and tons and tons of fentanyl is coming through the Mexico and Canadian borders, killing American people. So slowing down that traffic, in theory, would slow down the fentanyl trade. But then here's what happened. Canada and Mexico tried to clap back and say, okay, well, if you put it on us, we're going to put it on you. Now that sounds all good. And you're like, but now it's really going to be expensive. However, did you know that in 2023, 76% of Canadian exports came to America? And that was 19% of their GDP. So they can't afford to lose all of our business. You know what I mean? Because it's 19% of their GDP. So that's not going to work for them. And then in 2024, 78% of Mexico's exports all came to America, which is 37% of their GDP. Again, they can't afford that. And here's the fun fact. Our exports to them, to Canada and Mexico combined, only counts for 2.7% of our GDP. So we have a lot more leverage, and we can say, well, that's not really, because we can afford to lose 2.7% of our, we don't want to, obviously. But that is massive income for them that they're probably not going to be willing to lose, which allows trade negotiations, and it's called art of the deal. Now you're up to speed on the tariffs.
So there's a whole lot more going on in the background than you may not realize about tariffs. So
well, and the other thing was, I just love Canada stomping their feet and holding their breath till they turn blue. It's not going to buy anymore. You're okay.
It's typical.
And
Trudeau
she had
stuff,
a higher
though.
number than what I've been seeing. I've been seeing the 1.5%. So, whichever, 1.5, 2.7, it ain't much.
Yeah, it's not much.
Obviously, you still don't want to lose that, but Canada's fighting a battle they're not going to win. They think go ahead and stomp your feet and hold your breath, but it's just not going to work, folks.
They're going to be overrun with goods that they used to sell to us. Is what's going to happen.
What when we send stuff that way, there's a 200 and some odd % tariff on a lot of dairy products, and then there's automotive parts. A car goes across, and it's like a 30 or 40% tariff on an automobile that we send that way. Yeah. And they don't even make cars there, but that's what they charge. So, you know, I don't think they're putting the nut because their state media up there is run by the state.
Exactly.
The Canadian broadcasting system is a reason it says Canadian broadcasting. It's like the BBC.
It's like I was just going to say, just like the BBC.
Yep, you only hear what we want you to hear, and that's what's going on. They're not seeing this stuff of how big, although they can get some of the information from off the internet if they don't get caught at it, that it's ridiculous the amount of tariffs that they're sticking us with on things, and we go a little tiny 25% and they have a conniption fit. You can't afford not to do that when you're exporting stuff this way. Let's balance things out a little bit.
Well, a lot of the Canadians are so mad. I mean, I saw something about the premier of Ontario is just threatened to turn off the power that goes to, I guess is like they supply power to 3 states up in the Northeast.
Well, it's Minnesota, Wisconsin, I think, and a little bit the Upper Peninsula, whatever, of Michigan.
Okay. But
so, you know, go ahead and just shut it off. And then when we put something else in there, it's like, oh, you want to do that, do you? You want to play that game? Not going to be real good. We're going to put a 25%. So now those people are going to be paying 25% more for their electricity. But it's okay that they ding us to the tunes of hundreds of % on something going across. But, oh, Lord forbid, we do a 25%. They're having a cow. And that's what's been going on in the world. We've been getting screwed everywhere.
And all that is just fairness. 25% for 25%. Okay. Well, we could both, I think we talked about this last week. We could both make it 0 and that way it wouldn't matter. That would actually be free trade. But it certainly is not like that. But people just want to look at the surface and get mad. And that's fine. The mainstream media is using tariffs to scare everybody about rising prices. Oh, it's going to cost so much more for everything. It's going to cause people to have even more budgetary problems in their households. But Byron Donalds, one of my favorite people in the world.
We love Byron.
He was on CNN, and he did school another news reader over there at CNN.
Because when prices were rising in the United States, I didn't hear CNN talking about that much. As a matter of fact, you ignored most of it while it was hurting the American people. Let the president negotiate on tariff policy. That is what he's doing, and it's going to work out to the better. You didn't cover it the way it needed to be covered. Let's just be perfectly honest.
Okay, well, that's a matter of opinion.
You let the last administration get away with it, but the American people suffered as a result.
But
no, it's not my opinion. That's a fact.
Okay, no, it's not a fact.
Sorry, you're wrong, lady. You guys were part of the propaganda machine, and it was not good.
Again, it's like Trudeau just stomping their feet. No, it's not a fact. It's your fact. It's not real.
It's why you've lost so damn many viewers where most podcasts have more viewers than you do now.
Almost
it's
do.
Ridiculous.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. And I ain't saying a lot.
I ain't saying
All 4 of you pay attention to what we're saying here.
All 4 of you, yes. Well, we might have lost 1 or 2 of those, but we'll never know. Oh my gosh. Well,
we're trudging forward. Anyway, we got one more thing. What do you got going?
Yeah, let's do one more thing. I think we got one more thing. Another way the mainstream media tries to scare people, especially seniors and the disabled, is to say that Trump has promised, just like Al Green on the Congress floor the other day, saying that Trump has promised to cut Social Security and Medicare. And, you know, if such a clip existed of him saying that, it'd be everywhere. I mean, they'd be able to just whip that out every time and say, see, he said it. They don't have it. All they do is
he never said it.
It's conjecture. It never happened. So anyway, it came up at it looked like a a cabinet meeting. The media was there.
Oh yes,
and they
had a lot of cameras there. Yeah,
they asked Trump about that specifically, and he cleared it up, set the record straight, whatever you want to say, and we'll see how long this lasts.
The spending bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion.
Right.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. There won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud. I'm sure you're okay with that, like people that shouldn't be on, people that are illegal aliens and others, criminals in many cases. And that's with Social Security. We have a lot of people. You see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks. So we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, we're not doing anything on this.
I think at one point he said, "You're not against fraud, are you? Finding the fraud?"
No, I love that. And the thing is they're going, oh, well, there's not people that are 200 years old. You're right, there's not, but somebody's cashing those checks.
Yeah.
They are getting cashed. That amount going into whatever account, wherever, it's getting cashed.
Yeah.
So somebody's getting the funds for it. And they need to keep their hands out of the Social Security period.
Oh, I think
they dipped in it too much.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Trump administration. All they want to do is get rid of the fraud, get rid of what's, you got to think, how many millions of people are over 100 years old that are getting, and there's probably only a handful of people that are over 100 in this country, and there's no way. That's drawing down exponentially the amount of Social Security that's going to be for future generations. They say it's going to be broke in 10 years or whatever, but you know what? If you stop a lot of this fraud, maybe we could extend that out a little bit. And
there you go. Would put a lot more into it, and if that is not to be touched for anything except for that purpose, they were paying all those people in New York City from the Social Security.
Yeah, see, that's just such crap. Hey, we're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to hear from a UK political commentator that actually understands U.S. politics. It's a rare thing. So we'll hear from him when we come back. Hang in there.
The Stay Off My Lawn radio show and podcast. We'll be right back.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4.
Oh, wait, was I a little too excited over almost being done?
We do tend to get excited on the last one. So.
Oh, boy, I can eat soon.
I'm going to put some pants on here in a minute, and we'll...
TMI.
You only see me from the chest up, but so, I mean, it is what it is. Trump has gotten a lot of bad press about his foreign policies, especially with Ukraine, as we covered last week and the week before, actually. But a lot of my friends in the UK are not happy. As a matter of fact, I got unfriended and blocked by a few of them, and which is fine. That's the way you feel. No big deal. But this UK political commentator, his name is Matt Goodwin, is actually being the voice of reason. He actually understands the complexities of American politics. And here's what he had to say the other day.
I was looking around social media today, and it struck me that a lot of people who like to start wars are suddenly very angry with one guy who wants to stop this war. And there are people who have taken us into one disaster after another, war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, who have spent much of today on social media attacking Trump. What we're seeing, I think, is a reset of geopolitics, a reset. We're seeing the breakdown of what you might call the international liberal world order, which saw 20, 30 years of one foreign policy disaster after another. And Trump, I was at the inauguration in America, and people around the president are basically saying, they've had enough of that constant interventionism. They've had enough of Europe, by the way, again, maybe a controversial point, but Europe not paying its way on defence. And they've looked to Germany, they've looked to France, they've looked to Italy, they've looked to the UK, and they said, what are you guys doing? Take Germany as an example. Germany under the Greens, absolutely bonkers, becoming more dependent upon Russia because of its ridiculous energy policy, becoming more dependent upon China, and then turning around and criticizing Donald Trump when he says we've got to end this war. I mean, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense anymore. There are two things that need to happen. One is Ukraine obviously needs to be involved in the negotiated settlement. That's obvious. But the second key point is this now has to be a line in the sand. After this negotiated settlement, Europe is going to have to pay to defend itself. We cannot just rely on America, because understandably they're saying, look, we've got China. We've got our problems on the border. We've got to revitalize our economy. So I think for everybody who sat there criticizing Donald Trump, I do think we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and think, actually, are we getting this right here in Europe?
And unfortunately, Europe is buying a lot of their energy from Russia. Further funding.
Speaking of which, well, the gentleman who was speaking, by the way, was on a panel in front of a very large, university audience. So it was not just sitting there in front of the cameras chatting. They're talking like this in front of you. They were all like, what?
Yeah.
And talking about Germany. Second point here, I'm going to get that. I'm doing it as fast as I can here. The second point is Germany is now buying more of their natural gas, and Trump told them, you're going to have a problem with this. And they laughed at him in his last administration that, that's going to be nope, that's exactly what he could see what was coming. He can, as a businessman, you try to see trends and what's going, and it was not going well for Germany.
Nope, absolutely not. I was thinking about that when I was, I didn't think of it when I put the clip together originally, but I did see that clip of him. I think it was in 2017 at a G8 summit where he was talking about Germany. Eventually, if you don't get on the right path, you're going to continue to buy more and more of your energy from Russia. And they laughed at him. And it's like, who's laughing now?
Yeah. And what is it they're doing now? Oh, that's right. They're buying more of their energy from Russia, who is not happy with them and is kind of, they had some, a couple winters ago or a winter ago was really tough because Russia goes, nope, we're not selling you anymore. And they went, but. But
the thing is, that's the difference between Russia and Ukraine. I don't think Putin is going around to North Korea or China and begging for money like Zelensky has been having to do. He doesn't have to because he keeps selling tons of his, and it's filthy oil too. If you look at any of the charts, man, the stuff we get from the Middle East, the stuff we get from Venezuela, the stuff we get from the Gulf of America, I mean, it's nice, clean oil. The stuff out of Russia, for some reason, is just very subpar stuff, and it makes things break down. It just doesn't, has to get extra filtered. But I mean, I'm glad to hear a guy from the UK actually get it.
Yes.
We've had several people just so upset with us. Okay.
Now, why are you getting after him for stopping a war and stopping all the death is what he wants to do. And you're now getting after him because he's not, I don't get it. What, you want to go on the front lines and fight? Because Ukraine pretty much needs anybody that's got a pulse to go to the front line right now. They're out of people.
Yes, they are. And you got to wonder how that's going to look in 20, 30 years. I think I spoke about this before. You're losing almost a whole generation of 20-something-year-old people, of men. I mean, Ukrainian wives, maybe there's a website out there where you can buy one of these 20-year-old women and have them shipped over to the States or something because there's not any men. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, I can't tell you how many videos I've seen, different ones from Ukraine, where they just attack a guy on the street and shove him into a van and he's fighting. I got kids at home and they just shove him in the van, send him to the front. I saw a kid riding a bike that was a rather large kid. I don't know if he was kid, but he wasn't driving. So anyway, he was riding a bike. Snow was there. A guy was walking and saw a kid coming, backed up and kind of hid behind a car that was close to the intersection. And as the kid went by, bam, shoved him in the shoulder, knocked him off his bike. A van wheeled up, they opened the door, grabbed him up, and threw him in the van.
It's the Ukrainian draft is what that is.
Yeah, how nice. A little conscript there of, So, hey, you can say what you want, folks, but I don't think our boys need to go over there and be dying for their stupid purpose.
And, and we've talked about this before. It breaks my heart that you've got young people dying on both sides, Russian kids too.
Yeah.
I mean, 20-something-year-olds, they've got no skin in this. They don't care anything about war. None of them want to be there either.
The Russian people don't want to be doing it either anymore. They're tired of all these wars constantly fighting. It's enough's enough.
It's about these two guys with a lot of ego that just doesn't want to give up. So hopefully they'll come to a conclusion soon and get this over
And now
with.
I just heard, and I'll have to check the source, but it's an I heard, and I don't know for a fact, but Zelensky wants to go in front of the United Nations, and they want Trump to be arrested for not providing.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Because he cut off their armaments and their funds to continue to fight the war, and he's stomping his feet and gonna hold his breath till he turns blue.
I mean, it's like getting thrown out of church for not writing
the
a check every Sunday.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Uncle Joe, could you send me more money? Sure. How much do you need this time?
I saw that meme where it's like the last time it was Zelensky sitting there with Trump going, last time I was here, there was an old man. Can I talk to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, finally, the Democrats in Congress seem to, they seem kind of lost on what to do next because Trump is just kind of running roughshod over everything. The Trump train is running through D.C. pretty heavily. And on CNN last week, Van Jones was asked about this, and his response was absolutely correct. I can't remember the last time I said that I completely agree with Van Jones.
Never agreed with him. And it's like, what?
No.
Who are you really?
But I do today. Here's what he had to say.
In terms of Democrats and where they go from here, this last week we did see them some people try to protest during the president's address and then House leadership getting on to them, other Democrats calling them out. They still seem to be wandering around trying to figure this out. What's your take?
Can we ask another question? Do I have to talk about my own party? Can we talk about Ukraine or something? No. Look, man, we're screwed. I mean, we don't. No, Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare. Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Listen, the Democratic Party is going through a massive set of internal crises. You have a party that got trapped two ways. One, defending a broken status quo that nobody likes because they thought that Donald Trump was going to make it worse. But when you're defending the status quo, you're going to lose. And then offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then saying, please follow us. That's not a good strategy, folks. Defending a broken status quo and offending most of the country turns out is not as popular as my party thought it was going to be. And so it's going to take a while for people to get it figured out. I don't like talking about this. I'd rather be beat up. Can you give me something I can beat up Shermichael about? I don't want to talk about my own party.
We were talking off the air about this whole this interview, and he's so right. I love it.
He's dead on. And I will tell you the stunt that they pulled and not standing for the kid with cancer or the people whose family members were murdered and that kind of stuff. And them just sitting on their hands pissed off a lot of Democrats. Guess what? There's a whole lot more independents now. Some of them wouldn't go all the way to Republican, but they're leaving the Democratic Party still in droves. Because the American people, when you have CBS saying it's a 70% positive rating, because they will look for 70% was liking the Doge and what they're doing. So,
yep, absolutely. So, I mean, they got to. I think when we were talking off the air, you said something about there were some parties that just dissolved. They're just gone. You don't.
The Whigs, they're gone. That's not a party anymore. There was another
Federalists.
The Federalists, they're gone.
Yep.
Because you're no longer relevant, and your party just couldn't win. For the life of you, well, you kind of got to start over. And right now, what they're doing, they went so far liberal left, and now we're finding even more of this fraud that's in USAID and in the State Department and all this other stuff where funds are going, and the Treasury Department, something's not right there. And it all seems to be funneling back around to the Democrats. That's not helping their cause any either.
Nope, not at all. And I think that when you you pick a hill to die on. It's like whether you want men and women's sports. None of them voted to amend Title IX back to the way it used to be. I mean, none of the Democrats voted for that. So I'm like,
They refused to.
Yeah. So, I mean, all you're doing is just alienating 80% of the country, because I think the last poll I saw was almost 80% of the country did not agree with men playing in women's sports. There's just no way.
Yeah, it's no. It's not a thing that should be. And a lot of schools, if there's a trans person playing on the other side, the girls are just going, nope.
They've made themselves irrelevant, and that's a great way you put that. It's perfect.
You just pushed a bit farther than it needs to be. Yep.
So anyway, we need a palate cleanser. This is a Paul Harvey rest of the story, and this is a combination of success and tragedy that you're going to be surprised about. I know I was.
Now, the rest of the story. Frank lay alone on a mattress on the floor, in the dark, in a bleak and lonely house where the damp and the chill and the midnight and the nightmares huddled close to him like frightened orphans. The solitary flame from the solitary candle that had lighted his path up the creaking stairs was now extinguished. In that raw and empty room in the foreboding blackness, the sleepless man lay waiting to be haunted by guilt and by grief and by the not-so-quite warming glow of happiness long past. There was a wrenching vision of two children who never grew up, who died in infancy, Frank's children. Thereafter, Frank and his wife, Jeannie, doted on their only surviving child, a little boy named Benny. But then came that cold, wicked January morning only weeks ago when Frank and his family boarded a train. They were scarcely a mile on their journey when there came a sudden jolt. The passenger car toppled from the track down an embankment into a field. Frank and Jeannie were bumped and bruised. Their 11-year-old son, Benny, was crushed to death. 12 of the boy's classmates served as pallbearers at his funeral. Jeannie, already deep in shock, fell deeper still. Frank had accepted a position that required relocation, a new town, a new home, but Jeannie, who had never approved of Frank's career ambitions to begin with, was now less than ever enthusiastic. Go on ahead, she had told him. What conceivable help could she be to him anyway? So Frank went on ahead, alone. He got a few boxes and some furniture moved into the new house. When the movers had gone, Frank lighted a candle and climbed the stairs, his footsteps echoing throughout the lonely, darkened rooms. A bare mattress was left on the bedroom floor. That was all. Frank would sleep there, or he would try. For the gloom hung around his soul like an anvil on a chain as his mind wandered backward from regret to regret. The only 3 offspring of his marriage, now dead, and the new job about which he should have been so enthusiastic. Well, he wished he could back out, but there was no way. His wife was convinced that their son had been taken from them as a kind of divine punishment because of Frank's ambitions, as a sacrifice for all that he hoped to attain. After all had been said and done, Frank kind of believed it himself. It's been said that heavy is the head that wears the crown. Well, certainly it was true for the tormented man you've just met. On what should have been the happiest evening of his life and the occasion of his greatest triumph. For what I've been describing was the night after the inauguration of Franklin Pierce, March 4, 1853, when the new president retired to a vacant house, a vacant White House, and lay alone on a mattress on the floor in the dark, a captive of the stillness and a prisoner of the night. Now you know the rest of the story.
I had no idea about that story at all. It's heart-wrenching.
I looked into a lot of presidents, and I love American history, and that was not one that I'd ever heard of or knew about, or it's just not in the books. I don't know whether And it's just so sad to hear, too.
It is. I think, wasn't Hawkeye from MASH, wasn't he supposed to be named after Franklin Pierce? I think that's, for some reason, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So anyway, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Smart Speaker, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And you'll find us every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the OracleTalkRadioNetwork.com. More to come about that.
Yes.
Enjoy us on the drive home. Get the apps for Apple and Android. They're available. Or just go to our website at stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Toodles, thanks again so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.